Okay, we're on page 111.
Yeah, okay.
And we were discussing the last 2 weeks about the spiritual divinity that goes through Adam HaRishon's lineage down through his children to Avraham Avinu, and then Avraham Avinu through his children. And the ultimate peak of divine revelation happens twice. Once when it becomes national, which is by the children of Yaakov Avinu, when all 12 tribes are able to reach a certain level of chosenness, where they become misugalim, they become filled with this ability to be divine. And then you find it happen once again, perhaps on a lower level, but on a much broader level, and that is when the Jews are coming out of Egypt. And the sea splits, and we say, Rata Shifcha al Hayam, that a maidservant on the sea saw what Yecheskel ben Buzi didn't see, what the prophet Yecheskel couldn't see. There was a high level of revelation, and we realized at that moment that every single person had inherited inside of them this ability to become connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu through prophecy. Essentially, when we say that we are the chosen people, the word chosen is incorrect. The word we use is am segula. Segula, to be misugalim. I'll tell you the truth, the more correct word in Hebrew, when you ask, let's say I would ask you, can you help me lift this table? So I would ask, atam misugal, are you able to lift this table? Now, you would answer yes or no. I am able. Whether or not you lift the table is a whole different story. Segula means people who are able. If I were to come up with a word like, they are profitable with a PH. They're able to be prophets. Or divinable, I don't know if that's a word, we'll make it up. Able to be divine. Am Yisrael is commanded to act on the spark of divinity that is inside of them because they are able. Imagine if they're fertile in the realm of divinity, of prophecy, of connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And truthfully, this whole concept of chosenness, even if I'm not telling you that it means we're not an elite group of people, we are just more able in this department of Kedusha, of holiness, in this department of spirituality than other people are. This is the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world. Since the beginning of time, there were always people who were more able to be divine. Before they were even Jews. We, though, as Jews, happen to be the spiritual descendants of those people who carried on this torch from the beginning of time, and then became a mass nation of people who are able to be divine. Truthfully, a person who is an Am Segula, so we're going to use the word chosen, more like the word able is the more correct word. We are the able people. But if a person doesn't act on their ability, so are they really part of the chosen people? There lay dormant inside of them this spark of holiness that they could activate. There are many people who are not in tune, or not inclined, or they're not familiar, they haven't discovered, they're not interested in this part of them that is able, and this ability that they have. Mm-hmm. This concept of nivu'ah, of being able to connect this world to another world, is an immense concept. It's tremendous. You know, we read sometimes the prophets, I wish they could tell me what would happen today. I wish they would be able to tell us the future. I wish. You can look, even in the times of the prophets, the Jewish people didn't listen. The Nevi'im, they said, if you keep this up, the Beit HaMikdash is going to be destroyed. The Beit HaMikdash was destroyed. You think they listened to the prophets again? No, they still didn't listen to them. Nothing changes.
No, it doesn't.
So the world, I don't know that would be better off, but this ability to look at the greater picture. And sometimes we sit here in this world and say, why does this happen to the world? And we wish that we were able to know a little more. Nivu'ah, this high level of divinity, it answers some of the questions. And that's a certain element that's lacking in our world today. People who understand the bigger picture. And we have such tzaddikim. But we as a people have to be more spiritually inclined, more divine inclined. Yes, the Gemara tells us that since the times the Beit HaMikdash was destroyed, the prophecy has ceased among normal people from the world. So what? You should know, I know there are poskim that don't agree. I know it says in the Gemara. Rav Klonemus Kalman Shapira, the Piasetzner Rebbe, his whole book is written on the premise that even today, if we were willing, we could activate Nivu'ah and save us.
I think that's probably true. But you have to really work.
It's true. I once asked our parents this. They were so upset. How can you say that we don't have this ability today? So Rabbi, the Gemara says. You see what the Gemara says, that it's harder today. But not that it's impossible. Not that it doesn't exist. We keep a lot of laws, a lot of mitzvot. But how much do we try to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? To connect to Hashem running the world. Hashem, the one who understands, who knows, who sees. How often do we spend time really trying to connect? All of Kabbalah is built around this concept. Connecting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. At least understanding, being able to fathom what it is that the greater picture is. But there's a part of talking about being the chosen people, the able people, that is very difficult for us as Jews. And that is this feeling of being elitists. We struggle with this very much. We struggle very much with saying, oh, we're the chosen people, you're not. We struggle with this. I myself struggle with this. Are we racists? And I ended off last week's class that we're not racists. The answer, the reason why we're not racists, unlike any other racist, there is an ability for another person to also become misugal. First off, we don't look down on anybody who's not misugal. Those who wish to interpret our Jewish texts as against Goyim, against non-Jews, there are Rishaim. They're evil people. And their Jewish blood is on their hands. When people kill us because they think our Torah is anti-Semitic, our Gemara is anti-Semitic, our Gemara is against non-Jews, they're taking a Kadosh Baruch Hu's Torah. Hashem created non-Jews also. They are our relatives. We live on the same planet together. Those people who wish to pervert our Torah and to say about these people, they're bad, they're evil, I don't know what they say about them. We don't look down on Goyim. We believe that we have a different life purpose. Can someone join our purpose? Of course. And that means that we're not exclusive. That's not we let people in. You want to join? Join. Does it take time? Sure. Does it take studying? Sure. Does it take? Of course. Now, those of you who were in my classes back in the day when we discussed conversion between Rabbi Uziel and Rav Kook, there seems to be a very big fight between the two of them. What is the real conversion? The Midrash Tanchuma says that every person who converts to Judaism, the root of their soul was at Mount Sinai. And they're now coming back to their Jewish faith. Rav Kook talks about some spiritual transformation. It's as if their non-Jewish soul leaves them and it's replaced with the Jewish soul. I'd like to explain to you that according to my understanding of these texts, in my opinion, I'm not a Kadosh Baruch Hu, I'm not a Mikubal, my understanding and the way I was taught by my rabbis is very different. And then every human being has what's called a soul of Adam. We are all human beings. We share, you and me and the Christians and the Muslims and the Buddhists and the Hindus and the atheists and all the people in the world. We share a neshama, a soul that is human. Adam. We're all descendants of Adam. There's an additional element to a soul that chooses to be misugal, or that is misugal, which is able to be connected to something greater than it. Imagine for a moment that it's like some laptops have Bluetooth capability and some don't. And you're able to install Bluetooth into it. You can get a little external device, you can add it, you can open it up and put it aside. You can do it, it's a process, sure. But imagine the Nefesh HaYehudit is not a different soul. Yes, are there Mekubalim that want to say it's an entirely different soul? Yes, I'm not telling you not. I'm telling you there's a different way to understand this. We are human beings at our core. And therefore, the Torah demands from us derech eretz kadman Torah. That proper etiquette, being a good person, being what we would call a mensch in Yiddish, being a good human being, comes before Torah. It comes before our observance. It comes before our religiosity. Why? Because before we are Jews, we are people. We're human beings. And if a person decides to become a Jew without becoming a human being first, what kind of Jew are they really?
Not very good.
If you're telling me that being Jewish is a completely different concept, so I don't have to be a human being before I become Jewish. I can steal and I can fraud but I can still be Jewish. The answer is no, you can't. Your Jewish Adam, your human soul comes before your Jewish soul. You must become a human being first. Midot. Etiquette. Derech Eretz. You see, you go to some kiddush on a Shabbat, you see people ripping into food with their hands. Ribono shel olam. You first have to be a human being. A human being. You know, sometimes I look at different places in the world. This is called the Queen. This is royalty. We are royalty. Every human being is royalty. And we don't act like it. We have the ability to be so refined. Today I had the unfortunate experience of someone showing me a candidate for president cursing on national TV. Cursing? A dog doesn't curse. A human being curses? A dog doesn't use foul language. A human being uses foul language. First refine your human part. Then you want to be Jewish? Kol hakavod, so be Jewish afterwards. Being Jewish, it's not a step up. It's an additional ability. That ability is to be divine. A non-Jew wishes to do that, he's able to do it too. The concept of gerut is so profound. A person can be born not Jewish, but there is something inside of him that says, I have Bluetooth capability. I wonder if one day they're going to hear this class. It's like Bluetooth is outdated. I have segula ability. I'm able to be part of this. I'm able to be part of Am Yisrael, the divine people from Adam HaRishon. We saw it didn't always go father or son. A person is able to make such a choice. The fact that a goy could come to a Bet Knesset and become Jewish, not Jewish as in they put a kippah on him. I could put a kippah on a dog also. I said join the spiritual destiny of Am Yisrael. It's an incredible thing. To become one of us. We're allowed to marry them. We can live with them. We can count for a minyan. We can say Kaddish. Buried in a Jewish cemetery. It's an incredible thing. And it's one of the gifts that the Kadosh Baruch Hu gave us. To be able to allow other people who were not born this way to join this path. It's inevitable that if we're inspirational enough, that people will want to join us. And we have to be able to do that. Imagine if you had to explain to somebody that you're the chosen people and nobody else can be chosen. Some Jews might believe such a thing. But you don't have to ever be in that sticky situation because it's not true. Any person, any human being, man, woman, Torah Develiyahu says, a man, a woman, a free person, a slave, that doesn't make a difference. A Jew or a non-Jew who chooses to be a holy one, like a Kohen Gadol, who goes into the Holy of Holies of Yom Kippurim and comes out alive, says the Torah Develiyahu, he can do it. Doesn't even have to be Jewish. But it can be. And perhaps about this I wanted to discuss a little bit about conversion. Because conversion is the answer to our Kuzari question. Are we really racist? Many people have accused Rabbi Yonatan Halevy over the years of being too nationalistic, of being too non-rational about what it means to be Jewish. And I don't believe that that's correct. I want to stand up a little bit for Rabbi Yonatan Halevy. It's not true. They're reading into Rabbi Yonatan Halevy things he's not saying. There's an option. Rabbi Yonatan Halevy is saying there are people in the world who are naturally able to be connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He's not taking away from other people that ability. He's just saying a fact. Somebody else now wants to join. We have that capability. And perhaps to come to the crux of what does it mean to convert, we'll come out to some interesting ideas. I want to read to you a Rambam.
If you say that, it says Amsabula, and you have this extra little ability, so that means that you have also responsibility.
Of course.
So it's not like you're being a leader. You're saying, I have this little extra. It's like you're the manager instead of being the worker. So you have your elevated status, but you also have a lot of more responsibility.
Absolutely.
And if you don't use it properly, then you lose your position.
Not just that, but you can also find yourself in a negative situation, like a Yeshu. We mentioned last. It was because of his ability that he was able to mislead so well. Terach. It was because of his ability that he was able to mislead so well. There's an inverse reaction. If a person doesn't go in one direction, they'll go in the other extreme. It's very hard, actually, for a person to stay neutral, to stay passive, to stay numb about this topic.
Also, if people are criticizing Rabbi Halevy for being whatever they were being, but he wrote the book in defense of the Jewish faith. I mean, that's what he was doing. So, I mean, he tells you right away.
People like to push Rabbi Yonatan Halevy. They don't like him. A lot. To my understanding, it could be incorrect, but at least in the early years of the state of Israel. In Jewish philosophy classes in the universities, they would teach Rambam's Mor Nevuchim, they would teach Rabbi Albo's Sefer Yikarim, Rabbi Sadia Gaon. They would never touch Rabbi Yehuda Halevy.
Why?
They consider him like a racist, elitist. It's an incorrect, it's a foolish understanding of who he was. I want to read to you from the Rambam. The Rambam has a chapter about, a few chapters about conversion.
When you're talking before about your understanding of what happens to the soul of people during conversion, was this the Kabbalah of the Vilna Gaon, is that his opinion, or this was more of a rationalist perspective?
That
When you said about when people convert, not interpreting it as getting a whole new soul, but just getting a little addition to it.
that seems to be a less rational understanding of what is conversion.
So it's more like a Vilna Gaon type of Kabbalah?
I don't know the difference between the Vilna Gaon's Kabbalah and other Kabbalahs.
Oh.
My wife is the expert in that field. Okay. It says here that the Jewish people, the Rambam tells us, we had 3 steps to our conversion process, so to speak. We ourselves converted to this higher level of Segula. That's Milah. What are 3 things that Ger needs, a convert needs? If they're a man, for sure. Bring Milah.
Yeah.
What else?
It's a study, to go immersion. And
Tvila.
And okay, I was going to say practice, and then
And the Korban. They have to bring a sacrifice in the Beit HaMikdash.
Sacrifice?
Yeah. Obviously that we don't have anymore today.
What about the mikvah you're supposed to go?
Mikvah. So, Brit Milah, mikvah, and before we do that, we give him a general knowledge of some of the mitzvot, some of the things that they need to know. And so the Rambam goes through the different places where the Jewish people, where exactly did we convert, where exactly did we have a Brit Milah, so on and so forth. And he says, V'chen adorot, and also in the future, K'shirtzeh hagoy likanes labrit, when a non-Jew wishes to enter this covenant of Hashem, listofef tachat kanfei Shechina, and to be sheltered under the wings of the Shekhinah, the divine presence, v'kabel alav ol Torah, and he accepts upon himself the yoke of the Torah, tzarich milah, tvila, v'artzat korban. He needs these 3 steps. So if a person wishes to join the Jewish people, to step in under the wings of the divine presence, the Rambam uses some nice words about a person who comes to convert. There's another situation where the Rambam also mentions that a convert is kosher. Then the Rambam says the following thing. It says, by a convert, you should check. Why is he converting? Is he converting because he saw some Jewish lady that he wants to marry? Is he converting because to get into a certain business he has to be Jewish? Check for if there's an ulterior motive for why he's converting. And he says, if not, if a person, let's say we don't check, ger shelo b'dku acharav, or shelo hodiu hamitzvot, v'onshan. So either we didn't check after this convert, or we didn't really tell him any of the mitzvot. He kind of just converted. Umalu taval b'fnei gimel hedyotot. And he comes and he converts in front of 3 ignoramuses, like 3 simple Jews. Not a bedin, not he just jumps into the mikveh, I don't know what he does. Harei zeh ger. He is a convert. Afilu noda shebishvil davar hu mitgayer. And even though you find out that he converted for an ulterior motive, ho'il umal v'taval, because he had a brit milah and he went to the mikvah, yatsa miklal hagoy, or hagoyim. He left the category of non-Jew. And for this reason, he says, that Shimshon and Shlomo had non-Jewish wives. They converted, and then they discovered they left the Jewish faith. They were still Jewish, because at the end of the day, they left the category of being non-Jewish. And from here, you see there's 2 interesting things. One is like a convert who comes, he wants to become Jewish, he wants to join the Jewish people, he wants to accept the mitzvot, he wants to be under the wings of the Shekhinah, and the Rambam says beautiful things about this person. The second is a convert, he kind of just jumps into the mikveh, almost, in front of 3 ignoramuses. He's not really so sincere, he has an ulterior motive. The Rambam doesn't say that this person now enters under the wings of the Shekhinah. Rather, what does he say about this person? Yatsa miklal hagoy. He's left the... Right, he's left the category of just a normal human. The Brisker Rabbi, I once heard in his name, wants to say there's two levels of conversion. There's a person who converts to Judaism and really jumps on the bandwagon. He's genuine, he's sincere. He wants to be part of this divine, this ability, he wants to be part of this. And then there's a person who converts, has nothing to do with the bigger picture, has nothing to do with the HaKadosh Baruch Hu, really nothing. They're just joining, they want to, for whatever reason you think they may want to join. Says the Rambam, at the end of the day, they went through the motions. It's kind of like the Jew who was born Jewish but really doesn't do much more than that. He's left the category of one who is not Jewish. But he hasn't really entered the category into one who is Jewish.
It's like when I say in the morning prayer, thank you, Hashem, for not making
Shulas,
me
anyway, very good.
It doesn't say making me.
Rav Shach says this. He says that you weren't created a Jew. You were created not a non-Jew. It's your job to start to reach this level of divinity, of this ability. It's something to think about. And it's for this reason that when you find today there's a big debate, who can you convert to Judaism? Who's, what are we going to do with all these, so many Jews that want to come and they're not so sincere? What do we do with these people? The truth is that there is room to convert such a person into not a non-Jewish level. There is this option. And the hope is that eventually they'll realize that this is part of a bigger mission. They're part of a bigger picture. Being Jewish isn't being on a hockey team. Being Jewish is a serious life mission. But we Jews have to be aware of that too. We have to understand this also. Let me ask you the following question, and maybe because you've both heard this class before. Rabbi Yosef Masas writes, every day he says there's this story. He says in Morocco, people would come to the Beit Din, they'd say, I've been living with this non-Jewish lady my whole life. We have 3 kids together. Will you convert her? He says, every day they converted people like this, he said. They didn't ask her to learn anything, they didn't make her study anything, they just okay. It's better that he should be living beheter, he should be living in a more kosher fashion. And you might say, what kind of conversion is this? Like, is that a conversion? That makes her Jewish. And the truth is that the earliest case of such a conversion that I found is from the Rambam.
Really?
Now, obviously in the Talmud you find such a case. The Talmud, remember the 3 stories, the famous converts that come to Shammai? They teach me the Torah on 1 foot. Remember the story?
Yeah.
Well, he was a convert.
Yeah, he was coming. He wanted to become Jewish. Convert me.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And then Shammai throws him out, and Hillel comes and converts him. But Hillel, that's enough? You just tell him, what your friend hates you. That's enough to convert a person to Judaism.
So telling him to go and study now.
But he converted him first. Or the one who says, I want to become a Kohen Gadol. Convert me on that condition. Shammai throws him out. Hillel says, okay. He converts him, and then he teaches him in the Chumash. It says that you can't be a Kohen Gadol because only someone born to the family of Kohanim. It's like, wow, if only Shammai would have told me. You find a few stories like this, and you ask yourself a question. Shammai seems to be the one on the right over here. Shammai seems to be the one who understands. And it says in the Gemara that one day, the 3 converts, they met each other, and they said, if it wasn't for Kabdanuto, for Shammai, if it was just Shammai that we would have met, none of us would have entered the wings of the divine presence today. It was only because of Anvatanuto Shel Hillel, the humility of Hillel, that we were able to convert to Judaism. I don't know that it's humility. I know that Hillel must have been able to see into these people that one day they would be genuine. We say there's a halakha in Bedin. Rabbi Shalom Asas writes this in a letter. Not Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Shalom. He says, at the end of the day, he says, the Beit Din is sitting there. The Beit Din has to have eyes in their head, so to speak. They have to be able to look at their person. Maybe today they're converting for an ulterior motive, but one day we believe that in the right situation, in the right community, with the right teaching, with the right education, these people will really be from the pious ones of the Jewish people. And I believe that today it's a mistake. It's a mistake that for a person to convert to Judaism, they have to jump through so many hoops. I understand the ideal mind. I understand that we want a person to really, but the truth is, a Jew who doesn't understand his own divinity is coming to you and telling, and you say, okay, she has to really understand Ruach, she has to understand how high of a person she must be. You don't understand. At least help them come out of the category of Miklal Goy. And then eventually they'll enter into the category of Am Yisrael. The Rambam, if I could just read you his letter. It's a fascinating book that just recently came out. It's Rambam's letters, some great commentaries on them. Let's look at it like this. The Rambam has an interesting statement where he says, Shimon comes to convert his wife. Shimon, that's a generic name. And he comes to convert this lady who's not Jewish. Been living with her for a long time. And the Beit Din saying, Rambam, do we have to convert her? We don't think that she's that sincere. And the Rambam says, Mutav she'ochal tashuman v'lo, Mutav she'ochal tarotev v'lo tashuman. It's better for a person that he should eat the sauce of something not kosher than to actually eat the thing that's not kosher. Meaning, what's he saying? You have an opportunity now to save a person from a serious avera. At least help him save. Oh, so it's not the ideal situation.
What about the kids? The 3 kids, they don't automatically become...
But they will also be able to have such an opportunity to convert. This is a great question. I have a question like this in Shaar the What happens if a lady comes? She wants to convert her kids, but she's still going to stay a Christian.
Why do you want to convert her kids then?
Because her husband's Jewish. She wants them to be Jewish.
Doesn't she want to be Jewish?
Yeah, she's not interested, but she's going to do Christmas and send them to Catholic school. And can we convert such kids? Why? Just help them out a little bit. Maybe the dad. We say this situation is already too much. If she was going to tell us she's going to stay passive about religion in general, okay. If she's telling us she's going to be actively not Jewish, that's a really different story. There are limitations to this halakha. But what I see from this Rambam also says there are 2 levels of conversion. Because he doesn't say, save him so that he'll eat kosher instead of eating not kosher. What does the Rambam say? It's better to eat the sauce of something not kosher than to actually eat the not kosher piece. Meaning, this person is still yet not fully what we would call aware of their divinity. But they are at least out of the category of being Isu, and now they're just the sauce of the Isu. And I believe that as Jews, it's our job to start to push people, at least the Jewish people, to really be aware of our potential, our spiritual potential. We have inside of ourselves a part that we allow to lay dormant. We're good human beings. We're good human beings that wear kippot. We're good human beings that light Shabbat candles. We're good human beings, but we're not good Jews. How many of us truly believe that we're able to be connected to divinity? How many of us say, I don't have to be a Torah scholar. I'll let the rabbi do it. How many of us say, oh, you know what, I'll send my kids to Jewish school, they'll go to yeshiva. What about ourselves? Essentially what we've done as Jews is we're allowing ourselves to be perfect human beings. The first part of our soul we've activated. And we have Jewish side effects to that soul. We go to shul, we put on tefillin, we give tzedakah. But how many of us truly say, I want to plunge into the deep end? I want to activate also the part of my soul that is able or capable of nivuah, of prophecy. Capable of, so not prophecy. I want to reach a lower level. I want to reach Ruach HaKodesh, divine inspiration. If not that, okay, fine, I'm willing. Gilu Eliyahu Navi. I want to just be able to speak with Eliyahu Navi. It's not that, so a lower level. Magid, I'll accept that one of the wandering souls in the universe will come speak to me. I'll accept that. If not that, then a little bit of proper intuition when it comes to things of Kedusha. But why are you willing to settle for just being religious? Essentially that's being Jewish, not Jewish, it's being a human being with Jewish external trappings. Why are we teaching the whole generation of Jews not to jump into the deep end? Not to activate the part of their neshama? They used to have yeshivot in the Jewish people for people who wanted to become prophets.
Really?
Of course. In our whole time of the prophets, there was such a thing.
Oh, that time.
You find in the Talmud that there are places, yeshivot, where Eliyahu Hanavi shows up in the middle of the study hall. Today we're like a hollowed out skeleton of Judaism. We're essentially human beings with a little bit of Judaism attached to us. A little Jewish flavor sprinkled.
I've never done that.
I'm on recording, but I have met people with the Ruach HaKodesh. It's an uncanny thing. It's an incredible thing.
You know people who have?
People have Ruach HaKodesh.
My parents, maybe.
And you sit and you say, wow, unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. It doesn't make you jealous. It makes you in awe.
In awe.
This world is not as lost as you think it is. But we're actively, as Jews, we're actively pushing an agenda that is just human, not Jewish. Why? Why? Why do our Jewish schools teach a Judaism that is so religious? I'm using a word, but not deep enough. It's not able. It's not misugal. Teach my child. Tell him, one day you could build a Beit HaMikdash. What if I told a Jewish school, one of you in this room might be Mashiach? Maybe? They tell me I'm crazy. He's a crazy rabbi. Okay, let me be the crazy rabbi. And maybe it's not true. Shoot for the stars, you'll hit the moon. But if you just shoot for next door, you're not even going to make it there. I want to read to you one more piece before we end for tonight. That's another Rambam. I don't think I've shared in the last year or two here in San Diego. The Rambam in the laws of Shemitah and Yovel. If you haven't made time in your life to study Rambam, even just briefly to read through the books of the Rambam, they have today them in English for free on the internet.
Do?
There's no excuse.
They have them for free on the internet?
Yeah,
English?
I think Chabad.org has them for free.
Oh, you might be right, yeah.
In the Jewish people, it seems like Hashem already knew that not all of us would have time or the effort or the attention to focus on divinity, on prophecy, on teaching Torah, on becoming scholars. It seems like in every community there's always that. Listen, some of us have to go work, and not because we don't want to be scholars. Practically, we're not going to have the time in our life to sit down and do all of this. Some of us need to raise children, some of us need to... Everyone has a different job description. None are holier than the other. I heard a rabbi recently gave a class. A woman should know when she's in the kitchen opening up her oven to put in a challah for Shabbat, it's just as holy as when a person is opening up an Aron Kodesh with a Sefer Torah inside. With all due respect to the rabbi. First off, I understand you're trying to boost the feelings of the ladies, but this has a Torah inside. That doesn't have a Torah inside. To compare challah and an oven to the Torah and Aron Kodesh, it's exactly what Judaism is today. Judaism has become about challahs and ovens, and not about the Torah inside of the Aron Kodesh. But he does have a point. And the point is that all of us, it's like an army. We're all helping each other out to be able to do what we need to do. I wouldn't be able to learn Torah if it wasn't for people who are making sure that I'm able to. Another person wouldn't be able to work if it wasn't sure that another person is learning Torah for them. So on and so forth. There's all kinds of... it's like a puzzle. Everyone's helping out the other one. But it doesn't fully exempt another person from taking care of their own issues and their own problems, their own things they need to do. Just because you might not be the rabbi of the community doesn't exempt you from being the scholar. You should also know. You should also learn. You should maybe even know more. That's so hard. You learn a lot. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu saw, and therefore he decided in the Jewish people there would be different classes of Jews. Not higher or lower, just different. One of those classes is a Levi. What's the difference between a Kohen and a Levi? They come from the same family. What's the difference between them?
The Kohen can go into the Kadosh HaKadoshim, but Levi doesn't.
The Kohen can't go into the Kodesh HaKadoshim.
One
of them.
One of them
So
goes
you find
once a
even
year.
among the Kohanim, there's one who's most misugal than the other Kohanim. That's what the Torah says. HaKohen, we call him the Kohen Gadol, the high priest. It's not true. The word for him in the Torah is HaKohen Hagadol Me'echav, the Kohen who is greater than his brethren. He's more able than his brethren. That's why he's the Kohen Gadol. He's not the strongest, he's not the fattest, he's not the tallest, he's the most... They've all seen among them that he's the most divinely inspired. And he's the Kohen Gadol. Okay, what else makes the Kohanim? Sure, there are places they can't go. Maybe the Levi can't go into some of the places the Kohanim can go. But essentially it's a different job description. A Kohen, whereas he's taking care of the Beit HaMikdash, and mostly Kohanim are dealing with sacrifices. They're dealing with the menorah, they're dealing with... And very often the Kohanim are dealing with the non-Jews that are coming to the temple.
They're korbanot.
They're korbanot, and they're people, and the queens that are sending, and the kings that are sending, all kinds of things like that. They're like the managers of the PR center in the Beit HaMikdash. The Levi'im, though, their job, is not just in the Beit HaMikdash. Some of them are in the Beit HaMikdash. They sing for the people. They assist the Kohanim with the people. They're the people's people. They take care of Am Yisrael. And there's one more job the Levim have. The Levim are not allowed to own land in Israel. They don't inherit a land. They didn't give, or given a portion. The Jewish people have to give them places to live, but they don't have their own place. And the reason for this is many of them traveled and they went around. The Levim weren't supposed to be stuck somewhere geographically. They were supposed to have a territory that was theirs. Because imagine that if you were living in the times of the Beit HaMikdash and you were going to open up a Beit Knesset and you needed a rabbi, the automatic thing you would do is send a letter to a city of Levi'im and say, okay, who's up next to be a teacher of spirituality in our town? The Levi'im were training themselves to be leaders of the Jewish people. That's why the Levi'im don't go to war. That's why the Levi'im, they don't pay taxes. The Levi'im are not, they don't grow the land. The Levi'im are not involved in the physical day-to-day life of Am Yisrael. Because Am Yisrael needs them in a different capacity. But they were there to serve the people. And the question is, what? This feels a little bit elitist. Why should I have to go work the field? I feel like I want to study. I want to run around and teach Torah. I want to be a scholar. I want to be a judge.
Could they? If they were to study?
So that's the truth is that the Levi'im, the Kohen and the Levi'im, they were the ones sitting in the courts. So the Rambam ends off his laws of Shemitah and Yovel. And he says the beautiful thing, and this is my end today. Not my end, God forbid, but the end of the class today. Why did Levi not deserve to have a portion of the land of Israel? And any of the there's a word for it, the things they get in war, the spoils of the war.
They deserve, or he wasn't supposed to? They weren't supposed to.
He didn't merit to have a portion of the land. I mean, why was he not supposed to? The word in Hebrew is merit, but you're translating it better. Mipnei shehuvdal, because he was separated, la'avod et Adonai, to serve Hashem, l'sharto, to serve Him, l'horot darachav ha'yisharim, to teach His straight paths from mishpatav tzadikim and His righteous laws, l'rabim, to the public. L'fichach huvdalu midachei ha'olam. And for this reason, the Levi'im are separated from the ways of the world. Lo ochin milchama, they don't go to war. Shaar Yisrael, like the rest of the Jews. V'lo nachalin, v'lo zochin atzman b'koach gufan. They don't inherit, they don't work for things on their own. Elahem chel Hashem. Rather, they're the warriors of Hashem, the soldiers of Hashem. Shneimar, barech Adonai chelo. Like it says that Hashem will bless His soldiers. Who are His soldiers? V'hu baruch hu zocheh lahem shneimar ani chelkecha u'nachaltecha. Says the Rambam that Hashem takes care of these people. There's a certain part of Am Yisrael that this is their job. They're more able than the other ones. But then the Rambam finished off, v'lo shevet Levi b'levav. But this ability isn't left just for the tribe of Levi. And a kol ish ve'ish, rather every person, mikol ba'ei olam, from any of the inhabitants of the world, not just Jews, asher nadva rucho oto, that his heart has decided, v'hivino mid'eo, and from his mind he's understood, lehibadeh la'amod ifnei Adonai, that he wants to separate himself and stand in front of Hashem, l'shareto, to serve Him, u'lovdo, and to be a servant of Hashem, l'dat et Adonai, to know Him, v'halach yashar, k'mo sh'asau Elohim, and he wants to be straight the way Hashem created him, and he knows that inside of him there's a higher level of divinity that he's able to reach. ופרק מעל צווארו all החשבונות הרבים אשר ביקשו בני אדם, and he agrees to take off of his neck all of those things that people want, houses and cars and swimming pools and vacation, whatever people run after. הרי זה נתקדש קודש קודשים. This person has become holy of holies. ויהיה אדוני חלקו ונחלתו לעולם ולעולמי עולמים, and Hashem will be his portion and his inheritance forever and ever and ever. ויזכה לו בעזרת השם דבר המספיק לו, and Hashem will to give him what he needs, כמו שזיכה לכהנים לוויים, and he'll just like Hashem took care of the כהנים לוויים. הרי דוד עליו השלום אומר, David, the blessed memory, said, and he wasn't a Levi, אדוני מנת חלקי וכוסי אתה תומך גורלך. תומך גורלי. Hashem, you are the one who's always been my inheritance, and you support me. And from here we see that there's an ability for another person to step up to the plate. I don't want to even just be Jewish. I want to not just be Bluetooth, I want to be Wi-Fi enabled. I want to also be able to be a Levi. I'm willing to put aside anything that other people would like to do in the world and become a Torah scholar, to become a teacher, to become, and today, Baruch Hashem, there are many, you could be a lecturer, you could be a person who organizes classes, you could be a preschool teacher. All kinds of people fall into this category of those who are giving out the word of Hashem. But there's an inverse side of this coin, there's another side of this coin. And that is the community should say, I appreciate there are people who put their life on the side in order to be able to do this. I was talking to somebody recently. They told me the hardest thing about being a rabbi is that he doesn't have a life.
Yeah.
He said people they laugh at him. What does the rabbi do all day? He just stays around doing nothing.
Should read that book.
Yeah, you should read the book that we read. Yeah, and I think Barry also read the book.
You read
Tales Out of a Shul.
Oh boy.
Yeah. After that, the truth is, it's a full time. It's not just a duty, but it's a calling, and it's not for everybody. In fact, I think people who are forced into the rabbinate make terrible rabbis. Those are the ones you read about in the newspaper somewhere down the road. But there are people, this is their calling in life. A person who's a teacher. I think teachers, someone said, teachers are not in there for the income, they're in it for the outcome.
Oh, that's nice.
I thought it was a nice saying.
That's nice.
There are teachers. In this country, you'll pay some illiterate boor to throw around the ball. $5 million a year. And your teacher is barely going to scrape the bottom at $26,000 a year. $24,000, $30,000 a year. A teacher's making $40,000 a year. Wow, it's a great position. And you ask yourself a question: what are we teaching our children? What have we taught our society? I remember in the Beit Knesset that my father I used to pray with, my grandfather's synagogue, there was the Mori. And the Yemenite will tell you, the Mori was like the local Rebbe. He was the rabbi of all the kids. He taught at the school. He was, but this is a Mori, like my teacher. And in Yemenite Hebrew, the accent is Mori, so it's not Mori, but Mori. And he would come home. He would come to the shul. He's an old, wrinkled man. I remember him. People are terrified of him. They all remember when he used to smack them with a ruler or whatever he did back in the day. And they would kiss his hand and they would stand up for him. And he was that person that in the community. And they would take care of him, and the holidays would come around, and whatever it was. And the ability, he gave up whatever life he could have had. He's a brilliant man. He could have been a lawyer, could have been a doctor, could have been a psychologist, could have been a judge. I don't know what he could have been. He chose to dedicate that to other people. I'll tell you, I'm guilty of something. The Kehillat says that you're not allowed to talk nice things about rabbis if you're a rabbi. Because it sounds like you're talking about yourself. So I'm telling you, I'm not talking about myself. That rabbis should do a better job of me than a rabbi. But you should know there are people who are in yeshivot, and we like to say, "Oh, those guys in yeshiva, they just sit there doing nothing." And then we like it's very easy to degrade those people. My son, he went to Harvard, and look at him. And my friend, your son went to Harvard. He took 3 classes a week. I don't know what he did. Great, that was his calling in life. And just like I respect your son's calling, why can't it be that this person's son's calling was he wants to be a person who's reaching the highest levels of kedusha? And we as a community have to say, I support this person. Now, we can't have a problem like today where too many people are sitting in yeshiva that perhaps they shouldn't be there. They're forced there because of a system that doesn't work. I'm not talking now about the realistic. I'm talking about the ideal. Yeah, people who are rabbis in communities, teachers in schools, people who are, their job is to help educate the next generation about HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The gratitude should be there from the side of the community. That support. That I don't look down on you because that's the career you chose, but wow, thank you for doing that for us, because if we had to educate our kids about Judaism, this world would look like a terrible place. Yeah? And Baruch Hashem, every person, every Jew and non-Jew is able to join not just Am Yisrael, but join the tribe of Levi. Join the tribe of Levi. And I don't know where the Rambam would take this on a halachic level. Would they get the second aliyah to the Torah? I don't know where the Rambam, how far he would push this envelope, I'm not sure. But I can tell you that the Rambam means what he says. And this is a halakha. This is the way it is. And we have to bring this message. Yes, we are the chosen people. Not because we are elite. Because Hashem gave inside of us a certain ability that we use not just for ourselves, but for the rest of the world. If the Goyim would stop chasing us and let us go home, they would let us build a Bet Mikdash on the Har Bayit. They would let us show them what we could do for the world from our own place. We don't want to occupy the world. We don't want to conquer the world. We just want to help the world. You're having trouble with your kids in India? Send them to us. We'll help them out. You're having a spiritual crisis in Canada? Send them to us. We'll help them out. You're having a problem in Greenland? Send them to us. You need a teacher in Antarctica? I will come. Whatever you need, we'll be there. Am Yisrael, it's all we've wanted to do for the world, and instead the world is fighting us and persecuting us and oppressing us. For what? Maybe the world's not ready to grow. Maybe that's a subconscious reason for what's going on. But we should tell the world we're not racists. Do you want to be part of this also? You don't have to be a priest. Don't. I know you have a calling to help other people. But why go down the road of Avodah Zarah? Some Jew misled you 2,000 years ago. Come down our road. Come to Yerushalayim. Sit by the Kotel a little bit. Join the Jewish people. Learn for yeshiva a few years. Go sign up to rabbinic school once you know Torah well and you're learning. And maybe you'll make a better rabbi than you'll make a priest. Maybe. You never know. B'ezras Hashem, it's our job to tell the world, first to tell Am Yisrael that you're capable, and then to tell the world that they're capable also to reach high levels of ability. B'ezras Hashem.